He had to do something. So we're talking about Moses, who was so passionate about his people that he could not stand by and watch this Egyptian, flogging his fellow Hebrew brother. Okay, and so what did he do? He killed this Egyptian. He killed him. The two actions did not exactly correlate. I know he was passionate. He was angry that his brethren were being treated, in such a way, but that was quite, the action did not match the consequence. How do you kill someone for flogging another person? You know, so he was passionate. He was, and I think this is the first instance where we see an example of his temper. Okay, his temper. And as we read further, as we studied further, we come to see that he had anger issues. Okay, but that was what he did, and yes, he killed this man. And we're told that he went out the second day. Okay, and two men were fighting. Now these were two Hebrew men, and among the fighters was the one whom he had helped the previous day by killing the Egyptian. Okay, was the Hebrew man whom the Egyptian was flogging. Okay, so as they were fighting, Moses went and said, "Why are you fighting? I mean, you shouldn't be fighting. Your brothers. You should not be fighting." And what did that one say? He said, "Who made you a prince and a judge over us? Do you intend to kill me like you killed the Egyptian?" Say, "Who made you a prince and a judge over us? Do you intend to kill me like you killed the Egyptian?" Now, do we see how ungrateful human beings can be? Now, it was because of him that Moses killed that Egyptian. Because Moses was angry at the way the Egyptian taskmaster was flogging this Jewish man. However, the same person he helped went about announcing that Moses had killed somebody. And see how he said it publicly. Say, "Who made you a judge, a prince, and a judge over us?" Who made you? Now, what this man did not realize, anyway, was that Moses was actually a prince and a judge over them. He had just not entered into his destiny yet. But by destiny design, Moses was a prince and a judge over them. If only he knew what Moses' destiny held. Okay? If only he knew who Moses was and how great his destiny was. I wonder how this man would have felt, when eventually Moses led them out of Egypt. I wonder how he must have felt. I wonder if he would have sat back to think about that statement, that question he asked Moses. Okay, say, "Who made you a prince and a judge over us?" What he did not know was that it was God. Okay. Although Moses acted rashly, he acted prematurely. Okay. He acted prematurely. He took matters into his hands, and he acted before he was sent. Okay. Acted before he was sent. At this point, God had not yet sent him. God had not yet called him. So he acted out of his own passion. So the Hebrew man said, "Who made you a prince and a judge over us? Do you intend to kill me like you killed the Egyptian?" And Moses was scared. Say, so this thing is no. So this man has gone to announce this thing. So everybody knows. Do you see? You know, human beings amaze me. Human beings can be so amazing. I mean, I am astounded. Now, you are being oppressed. You are being punished. Okay, not punished. You are being oppressed. Okay, you are being treated badly by this Egyptian. Yes, what Moses did was not too, but Moses acted in his favor, and yet, see the question he was asking: do you intend to kill me like you killed the Egyptian? So did he think Moses killed the Egyptian for fun, or what? You know, that is human beings for you. That's why you need to be very careful, okay, in your dealings with man. And Moses said, so this thing is known. So this man has gone to announce this thing. Okay. And eventually the news got to Pharaoh's ears. And when Pharaoh heard it, he was angry. And he tried to kill Moses. So Moses ran. He ran away. High treasure. So Moses ran, okay? He ran away to a place called Midian. And when he arrived at Midian, he sat by a well. And when he arrived Midian, he sat by a well. You know, the things, God has a way of setting his plan in motion. Yes, God has a way of setting his plan in motion. And sometimes when God sets his plan in motion, things will begin to work against you. Okay. Things will begin to work against you. Because how does this man who was saved by Moses, instead of being happy and saying, Moses helped me, that taskmaster, wicked man, was flogging me, and it was this man who came and saved me. He betrayed Moses, turned against him. And I feel it was because Moses' time in Pharaoh's house had expired. He did not belong in Pharaoh's palace. Okay. It was time for him to move. It was time for him to enter into his destiny. It was time for the dice of his destiny to begin to roll. So his time in Pharaoh's house had expired. God did not want him to go back, to remain in Pharaoh's house, because he had a destiny to fulfill. And he had some trainings to undergo. Okay. So this Jewish man betrayed him. Pharaoh heard it and tried to kill him. And so he ran to a place called Midian. And he sat by a well. And the priest of Midian, we're told, the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they were shepherdesses. Okay. And they came to that same well where Moses was to fetch water to feed their father's flock, their father's animals. Okay. And we're told that some other shepherds came to drive them away, but Moses stood up and helped them. Okay. Moses stood up, helped them. He ensured that the shepherds were unable to drive them, and then he also fetched water for them and gave their father's flock to drink. One thing I think that Moses was a man who had great strength. I mean, physical strength. Yes, I think he was physically strong. Yes, I think so. I think he was physically strong. Because when he killed that Egyptian, we're not told that he used any instrument. So I'm still trying to think about how he was able to kill a grown man, without using anything. you know. And then here he single-handedly drives away these shepherds, and is able to help these daughters of the priest of Midian to get water and give their animals to drink. So I think he was a man who had great physical strength. Okay, he had physical strength. He was strong. He could fight. So Moses helped them. He fetched water for them, gave their animals to drink, and then they went back home. And when they got home, their father said, "I mean, you guys came very early today. Why? What happened? How is it that you've come back so early?" They now told him, say, an Egyptian met an Egyptian at the well. He was the one who delivered us. He was the one who helped us. This is an example of being at the right place at the right time. For those who have followed us, who followed word mill from Genesis, remember there are about 2 other instances in the book of Genesis, okay, where something transpired at a well. Okay, the first instance was in the case of Abraham's servant, whom he sent to get a wife for Isaac. Okay, and the man prayed and said, God, the lady that will come here to fetch water, and I'll ask her for water to drink, and she will give to me and also give to my animals, my camels. Let that be the woman that you want for my master's son. And then Rebecca came to fetch water, as God will have it, and of course she was the one for Isaac and all of that. And when she got home, her father said, "Wow, where is the man? Go, And then they ran back to her brother ran back to the well and called the man. And then another instance was the case of Jacob. Okay, when Jacob ran away from because his brother Esau was after his life. Okay, when he arrived, what's the name of that place? I forget the name of that place, but it was his father's land. Okay, it was in his father's land. When he arrived there, in fact, what am I saying? It was in his parents' land because his father and his mother were of the same family. When he arrived there, he also stayed by a well. Okay, he also stayed by a well, and Rachel came with her father's animals. Okay, and all of that, and he helped her, and she got home. Her father said, "Why? Call the man." And her father, ran to the well, called Jacob. Jacob came and stayed with him. Ended up staying with him for 20 years. Okay, so now we see in the case of Moses also ran because they were after his life. The Pharaoh was after his life. He ran to Midian. He stayed by a well, and this man's daughters came. He helped them and all of that. They went back home, told their father, and the father said, why did you leave him at the well? Why leave him at the well? Okay? He said, call him that he may eat bread. Okay, why will you leave him there? Call him, let him come and eat. Now, see that these people were, or this man rather, he was a man that was grateful and hospitable. This is an example of gratitude and hospitality. I think it was part of culture at the time. I think it was part of the culture. They were really hospitable. They were really hospitable. So that was how they called Moses. Moses came, and we're told that Moses was content to dwell with the man. So just like the case of Jacob, okay, who got to Laban's house and remained. Okay, just like Jacob, who got to Laban's house and remained. Moses also got to this man named Jethro or Reuel, got to his house, and he remained too. Okay, and the man gave him one of his daughters named Zipporah, okay, as a wife. And Zipporah gave birth to a son whom Moses named Gershom. Okay. Now, one thing I want to point out here, we see that I remember saying something that a person's destiny will reveal itself along the way. Okay, along the way. Before they get to that destiny itself. How do I explain this? I know I explained it earlier when we were studying about Joseph. I remember saying that a person's destiny will keep revealing itself along the way, okay, before they finally fulfill that destiny, to reveal itself in smaller measures. Okay, like the case of Joseph, who was supposed destiny was to be a deliverer, okay, to his family during the time of famine, whose destiny was to be a leader, a great leader. And that destiny kept revealing itself in smaller bits, smaller measures. First in the house of Potiphar, then in the prison, and then finally in the palace as the overseer of Egypt. Before he became overseer of Egypt, he had become overseer of Pharaoh's house. He had become overseer of the prison. Okay, so that is one thing about destiny. Now, it was the same in the case of Moses. Moses' destiny was that of a deliverer. Okay, his destiny was that of a deliverer. And perhaps that was why he had that burden. He could not watch his people get maltreated. Something in him arose. Something, he just couldn't stand by and watch it happen. And we can also see his destiny manifesting in a smaller scale at the well, okay, at the well in what's the name of this place, Midian, where he delivered the daughters of Jethro from the hands of the shepherds who were coming to bother them, or refusing them to fetch water from the well. Okay, so Moses came and he was a deliverer. Because of him, these people, these people who had been a menace to these ladies were put in their place. Okay, for the father to ask them, how is it that you came so quickly today? It means that those people were troubling them. Those shepherds were a thorn in their flesh. When they go there to fetch water to give their animals to drink, these shepherds will come, and maybe because they are ladies, will try to oppress them, try to overpower them, prevent them from fetching water. But Moses came and he delivered these women, okay, from the hands of the shepherds. So we can see that destiny of his manifesting in a smaller scale. It has to rear its head somehow. That is one way to know what your destiny is, or a person's destiny is. It will definitely show up along the way until you arrive at that place, okay, where the final place where God has designed that you end up. Your destiny will keep manifesting itself on a smaller scale along your journey to destiny. Okay, so we see Moses as a deliverer here. Okay, Because of him, these shepherds who were a menace to these ladies were put in their place. Okay. And so Moses got married to Zipporah and had a son, named him Gershom. And we're told that in process of time, the king of Egypt died. That is that current Pharaoh who was afflicting the Israelites, who was a thorn in their flesh, who was the reason why taskmasters were placed over them, and they were treated as slaves. He finally died. But his death did not change anything, because he had already established a system of slavery of the Jews. He had already established a system of hard labor, a system of oppression and affliction. So his death did not change anything. Okay, he died, but that system he had put in place continued. And we're told that the children of Israel sighed by reason of the bondage. The sign here is they were, it was a grieving of their heart. Their hearts bled. They mourned because the bondage was a lot. They were being tortured. Imagine people who were free, living lives of freedom, you know. They were living they were just as free as the Egyptians. All of a sudden, they were put in bondage. Their status in the society was brought low. They were treated as slaves. They sighed by reason of the bondage. And we're told that they cried. Okay, and their cry came up unto God by reason of the bondage. God finally heard their cry. We're told that God heard their groaning, and God remembered the covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. And God looked upon the children of Israel and had respect unto them. So God, we're told that they cried and cried and cried to God, and then finally God heard their cry. Can anyone still hear me? If you can hear me, please leave a comment so I know we're still live. If you can hear me, please just leave a comment. Just leave a comment if you can hear me. I wonder if we're still live. I hope we are. I hope we are, so I'll continue. And we're told that God heard their cry, and he remembered the covenant he made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The covenant. See why covenants hold weight, great weight in the spirit. God does not joke with covenants. And what was the covenant? The covenant was that the posterity of Abraham will inherit the land of Canaan. That was the covenant. So God remembered that covenant. And then he now decided that it's time for the plan to be set in motion. The plan for these people to inherit that land that I promised to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. Okay. And now they were special to God because they were Abraham's posterity. They were Abraham's seed. Because of the relationship God had with Abraham, God had compassion on Abraham's posterity, on Abraham's seed. And I want to tell you that God hears your prayers, your sighings, and your groanings. He will deliver and save you. I don't know what that situation is. You might feel like you might be in bondage. Okay, might be in bondage. You might be oppressed, might be afflicted. But God hears you. He sees you. He sees your tears. He hears your cries. And He will answer you. He will save you. He will deliver you. You will smile again. You will laugh again. The sun will shine again. The Lord will remember you. He will hear you. He will restore unto you all that you have lost. In Jesus Christ's name. Amen. Thank you all for being a part of Word Meal today. It was a great pleasure having you all here. I hope that we got the message the Lord had for us, and He gave us the grace to apply what we've learned to our lives. I'll see you again tomorrow, same time, 8 p.m. Nigerian time. But don't come alone. Invite someone. And as you do so, may the Lord bless you abundantly. Have a lovely night's rest. Sleep tight, sweet dreams, head up. Good night.